Hey, what's up? This is Laidback Luke, DJ and producer. 5 essential producer tips for the dance floor. I'm happy you're tuned in. Let's dive straight in. Okay, so what does this mean, right? Obviously, we can make tracks. If you're starting out, you can program beats, you can program synths. But what is it that makes a dance floor actually move? And so I'm gonna refocus you in this vlog because there are actually a couple of really awesome tricks that you can use which work excellently on a dance floor anywhere. Number 1, soloing out the kick and the bass line. When we go back to the origin of dance music, it's pretty clear that it's been driven by a 4x4 kick drum all the way throughout the track. We add hi-hats, we add synths, we add vocals, and this works. You get emotion, you get vibes in the track, but just the kick and just the bass line is a lower abdomen massage, and especially on a big system, in a club or in a festival, this is key to get a crowd moving. Let's dive into Ableton right now and I'll show you 2 examples. What we are looking at here is the drop of my release with Katie Alex called Could You Be The One? And Could You Be The One specifically has that kick and bass type of drop. Granted, it's layered with the vocal in there, but essentially the drop is the kick bass right here in the kick bass group. So this always works, kick and bass, and this would have even worked stronger possibly if I would have muted the vocals, or maybe in this example let's just solo the kick and the bass. So there's going to be a little bit of silence because no vocals. Purely this would be so powerful for a dance floor. We did the same thing in Ponme Loco, my collaboration with Gian Varela featuring Melfi, and especially in the second drop you'll hear it come in with just a kick and a bass line. So it builds up, right? A kick and a bass line, sometimes that's all it takes to move a dance floor. Alright, number 2, automating the volume on your master chain. And this is a classic. This has been taught for many years now. And I remember starting to implement this way back in 2010. Way back! Way back in 2010. And it did miracles for my track. I just remember back then, and in a lot of situations, I had a big build. Tons of things going on. Snare drums building, sweeps building, vocals repeating, and then adding effects to vocals. Going into a drop after that, honestly, usually was a little bit disappointing because all of the volume as to what had happened before was so much louder than the actual drop it was going into. And so what do? Well, the saving grace was automating the volume. And if you've never heard of it, it may sound complicated, but it isn't. Let me show you. Okay, how this would work is you would essentially take a volume controller and put it on your master chain, either before your master chain or after, and try and place it right before the end limiter. And what you would do is you would automate the volume. Now notice here that I have my drops and breaks and second drop drawn out, marked. So basically you would draw these volume changes right in here. So let's have a look. On the drop it should be 0 dB, and then in the break you can just sneakily lower it. It can be however long you want, preferably around 8 bars, could be 16, not 4 bars, but you could lower this. Edit value, you could lower this -2 dB before the drop, and so you barely see it right now, right? But 2 dB is significant on the master output. And if you want to be quick, you can copy this and paste this before the second drop as well. So it lowers from 0 dB here until -2 dB, and then when the kick comes in, it's back to its banging old volume. So let's have a listen. This is my new track with Rafi waiting for you. Before we continue, real quick, make sure to hit me with a like and subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell as well. And hit me in the comments. You know I respond, you know I love reading them, so let me know what you think. I'm waiting for you. right as it comes in, it'll be louder. So with this method, you're guaranteed that your drop will hit properly, leaving a little space or silence either before the drop or right after the drop. And I'll give you a little bit more of an explanation, but this works really well on any dance floor or in any environment where you're out, the music's playing loud, people are engaged. A little bit of silence added can instantly instigate some kind of reaction with the crowd. Let me show you what I mean. For this example, let's listen to my collab with Rehab, Weekend on a Tuesday. And let's listen now to this little bit of silence, which in the studio may sound a little bit awkward.
So let's live now, let's live now. I'm like weekend on a Tuesday. Let's hit the club and then we lose it.
Awkward silence in the studio means in a packed club or a packed festival that people will look up, see what's going on. And you see this a lot at stadium concerts or any concert you go. As soon as the band stops playing, there's an applause, right? Now this type of silence can have the same effect. And so in Weekend on a Tuesday, we did it before the drop, but what's most common is that it happens after the drop. So you have a busy piece of music playing, it's going, and all of a sudden you transition from that really busy piece to a really quiet piece, or even to silence. And in a live environment, this works really well. People instantly start clapping, applauding, and cheering. Now, in a lot of dance music tracks, there's so much going on. There's vocals, there's bass lines, there's synths, there's percussion elements, and everything is rattling and going on at the same time. And sometimes, as a crowd, it's hard to focus on what the track is actually about. You can help the crowd refocus or focus on that element you want them to focus on. For instance, a lead sound. And what you then simply do is strip everything away and just solo out that one sound, maybe right before a drop, maybe right after a drop, maybe in the middle of the break. You go into building up something and then all of a sudden there is the focus, there is the sound on its own, and it instantly grabs the crowd's attention. Let me show you what I mean. For this one, let's dive back into my track Waiting For You, which I made with Rafi. We are coming out of the break into the drop, and right before the drop, I will isolate the lead, introduce the lead on its own. Let's have a listen. A very simple effect, and you can basically do it with any element in your track. Could be vocals, could be bass line, could be weird synths. Try and see what works in your track, but it's always a good idea if you can just isolate one element of your track and grab back the attention this way. Real quick, if you like my producer tips for DJs and for dance floors, make sure to check out my edits, mashups, and bootlegs course that I have with digitaldjtips.com, a producer course made for DJs as it goes in depth into making edits, mashups, and bootlegs properly. Make sure to check the link down below. Let's continue. Obviously, the dance floor is for DJs, and what DJs love doing is taking out the bass EQ and putting the bass EQ back in. Oldest trick in the book. This basically means that if you're in a crowd and you're dancing and you're out and the DJ takes the EQ out, the bass EQ out, this instantly works in a way where the crowd kind of stops dancing because the energy of the track is taken out of the track. Now you can use this essential dance floor knowledge in your track as well, where at any given moment you take the bass out, but more importantly, to have your drop hit harder, take all the bass type of frequencies out of your build prior to the drop. Let me give you an example. Now let's have a look at the VIP 7 and I made for Bad Love with Eva Simmons. You'll hear the effect here clearly where we come out of it's like a pre-drop, and the pre-drop is heavy and there's percussion added as well, but I still want the original drop to hit harder than the section before. Similarly to adjusting the volume before the drop, this also has to do with adjusting the bass frequencies before the drop to make that drop hit as effective as you can for a dance floor. And speaking about DJs, what DJs love, and especially in this age of short versions, DJs love extended versions. And maybe in the future I'll make a vlog about this, and do let me know in the comments if you want a dedicated vlog about this. But how do you make an extended version, right? Very simply put, you can add 8 bars or 16 bars before the track begins of beats and little teasers of what the track is about before your track begins. Similarly, on the end of your track, you can add 8 bars or 16 bars of a mixing out type of section. And what's important in a mixing out type of section is that you take out the bass. As soon as you take out the bass line, it feels like the track is about to end. 5 essential producer tips that really work on a dance floor. What do you think? Do you have some tips and tricks as well? Make sure to leave them down in the comments below. And while I have you, make sure to check out my other vlogs as well. If it's the backstage live or if it's more producer and DJ type of tricks, it's all here on this channel. So make sure to hit that like button and subscribe as well. And hit that notification bell, would be greatly appreciated. For my next vlog, I have a special big name DJ coming in, and we're gonna discuss all things DJ mental health related. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And I'm excited to catch you back here for the next one. Until then, L's up.